Well, good Thursday morning from Atlanta, Georgia. We're streaming live, and today on the Influencers Podcast, I am very pleased to bring to you an East Coaster today. We're coming live from Atlanta, but we're talking to Noah Rosenfarb, who is the financial advisor to the 0.5%. This is an extreme honor to bring in Noah Rosenfarb. So let's bring him on to the show and welcome Noah.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Always good to have a friend from the East Coast. I don't have to wake you up so early to get going. And
Yep.
Florida's been good to you, I hear.
So far, so good. I grew up in New Jersey, but been in South Florida the last 11 years and wouldn't trade it for anything.
Wonderful. Well, I really will be looking forward to sharing what you do with my audience around the world. They always want to know how to put things in perspective for the money that they work hard. They want it to work for them and provide for them in their retirement. So I know that you've got advice. I know you've got strategies and hope for the hopeless. Let's see if we can get into some questions today. I want to know from the beginning, where were you? What was going on that led you to start this inspirational company, Advisor to the 0.5%?
So there's I would say a long story that the shortest answer I could give is that my parents got divorced when I was 3. And I grew up with a single mom that had 2 jobs, sometimes 3, but I always knew when it was payday. And in contrast, my father was self-employed. He's a CPA by training. I'm a third generation CPA, and he had his own small firm. And while he had his ups and downs in business, when we went out to dinner, I could always order dessert. And so that, disparity between the time I was spending with my mom and the time I was spending with my dad led me to see that having more money meant having more options. And I knew from a young age that I wanted to be rich.
Should be then, take out and go on your own. Let's talk about some failures. Something that sets you up for success has to be a great failure, right? So how would you relate to us your failure story? What'd you learn and how did you recover from it?
My greatest failure has been maintaining a healthy weight. And it's something I've been challenged with. I started my first medically supervised weight loss program when I was 9 years old. And it's been a battle for me ever since, and not something that I've ever been able to successfully conquer. But I think it's something that's always been on the top of my mind, at the forefront of everything that I'm doing, is how can I get my health in the condition that reflects how I feel about how important my body is.
Very interesting take on that. And for our audience, it's like you can't take everything with you, and especially you can't buy everything that you want. Your health is one thing you cannot buy. If you lose it, it's pretty much gone. So yeah, great reminder that we need to take care of our health before we even worry about our money. Tell us, what are the top 3 reasons people fail in the financial arena to make it to the end?
Yeah, I think one is delayed gratification. Interesting. I talked about my failures around food. The contrast with food is, if I eat the food today that I shouldn't, I could probably exercise it off tomorrow. But when we're spending money on things that we really shouldn't be spending money on, it's very difficult to recuperate those lost, dollars. And so what most people don't do effectively is spend less than they make. And if you consistently spend less than you make on average over time, you'll probably accumulate enough money to live comfortably when you're no longer in your earning years. I'd say another reason that people often fail when it comes to money is that they don't have good role models, and they're not sure who they should be paying attention to and following their advice and behaviors. With social media, so much attention has become focused on possessions, on material possessions, or on great experiences. And while those are all wonderful things to have, I think it's more important to have a solid financial footing and making sure that your family can withstand a surprise expense. And perhaps the third failure that I see often when it comes to money is that people don't have a plan. And they say, if you don't have a plan, you're never going to know if you're going in the right direction. I'm a planner by nature. I'm a planner by training, and my business is planning for people because I believe that when you have a plan, you can take steps to follow that plan, which is ultimately going to lead you in the direction you want to go.
Well, I can see real clearly that you weave a web that is perfect to correlate diet, weight control, physical health with financial health. If you don't have the ability to withstand Madison Avenue, you're going to buy whatever you see. You're going to eat whatever you see. And so it goes hand in hand. Control, self-control is a lot to do with financial as well as physical health. So thank you for that. Thanks, Noah. And tell us what motivates you internally to keep going after all these years.
So entrepreneurs are my heroes. And I didn't realize that until later in life. I always celebrated entrepreneurship. But when I finally was what I would say retired, I didn't have an operating business, and I was investing my time with nonprofit organizations that I cared about, I wasn't as fulfilled as I was hoping. And I didn't wake up in the morning excited about the contributions that I was going to be making. And I realized that I needed to get back to serving the people that were most important to me, which are these entrepreneurs that create jobs, that innovate, and that employ most of the people around the world. And so I decided to focus more of my effort and energy in supporting them and achieving their goals. It's something that I've been doing naturally since I'm a young child, and a skill that I've honed for decades. And I realized that my most valuable contribution to the world would be to continue to do that and make my skills and experience available to successful entrepreneurs to help them achieve a life that becomes rich beyond money, which is what I've done for myself and my family.
I love working with entrepreneurs too, and it's a rewarding group to be a part of. They're always positive. They're always looking to the future rather than staying into the hidden problems of the past. Tell us your company's motto about, is it being the one that the 2% counts on to invest their money to advise?
So our motto is around being rich beyond money. And we say that for most of the people that approach us, they already have more money than the vast, vast majority of people in our country. We serve US-based entrepreneurs, US taxpayers. And so if you have $1 million income or you have a $10 million or greater net worth, you probably don't need more money to live a better life. What you need is more intention around what is it that's going to help you lead a life that's meaningful and purposeful and inspirational, and one that you could feel proud that you've put together. And so our business is really focused on that holistic approach to wealth.
It sounds like you're helping people develop a better legacy.
No doubt about it.
Let's learn more about this group of people, and you've learned a lot from them as they have benefited from you. What are the top 3 success secrets that others can model from?
One of the most powerful combinations that I see in business is where visionary founders become connected with someone on their team that often has a role that could be called an integrator or chief operating officer, someone that has the ability to organize the team and organize the processes and have the follow through to help scale the visionary's ideas. And when you get that pairing, Gino Wickman, who's the creator of the entrepreneurial operating system, written about in the book called Traction, has a book about this pairing called Rocket Fuel. And I think that, to me, has been the key that I've seen so many visionary entrepreneurs unlock, is finding that pairing. Another great success secret is being able to rely on others to accomplish things that you may be able to accomplish yourself, perhaps equally or even greater than the person that you're delegating the particular assignment to. But if you never let go of your own ability to produce a result and learn how to entrust others to produce a result for you, your impact is always going to be limited by your own efforts. And perhaps a third success secret that other people can model from is being thoughtful. And I mentioned planning earlier in this interview. I believe that planning is one of the secret weapons for the most successful people in the world.
So I'm writing those down. It seems as though you've hit upon a real secret niche area that the audience can really take advantage of with these three success secrets. Finding the right integrator for your whiz bang idea. There's a lot of people out there that are innovators who don't really have the application skills. And then there's delegation, is to know how to share the load, bring this whole complex idea along by delegating to competency. And then being thoughtful is to have a plan, sit down and make a plan, actually doing the work that it takes to move forward. So really nice secrets that people can model from. Let's talk about your particular company, and why should somebody take you on as their, you take them on as your client?
The people that work with us most often resonate with this concept that more money is not going to lead by itself to a better life. And they've recognized the importance of this holistic way of planning, so that not only do they have financial freedom, but they are also managing their time in such a way that they can lead their ideal life. And they're also serving their higher purpose in such a way that they have meaning that's going to drive and motivate them to create a legacy while they're here.
Very good. Well, in our audience, we have a lot of people who aspire to be in the top 0.5%. Some of them already are. So tell us, who is your ideal client and what are the parameters that define them?
The people that we work to create the highest return on investment of their time and money tend to be entrepreneurs that are planning an 8-figure exit. And what we are able to do for them is help them get their mind clear about what a transaction should look like, how to reduce their tax exposure in that transaction, which is obviously a significant component of any particular 8-figure deal, and then make the transition from being an owner to not being an owner, which is a transition that is incredibly difficult, akin to a divorce in many respects. And so it's something I wrote about over a decade ago in my book, Exit Healthy, Wealthy, and Wise, which you may be able to see over my shoulder. And 75% of entrepreneurs that sell their business regret it. And so our goal is to have a much greater success rate. It's one of the things that motivates me is having entrepreneurs who achieve what many perceive as the pinnacle of success, the exit of their business for a large sum of money, making sure that that is not only celebrated for what it is, but also that it doesn't become the unraveling event that it is for so many people that go through it.
Yeah, I love what you're saying, because I've been there and done that, sold my business and looking for the next best thing to do, because most people don't want to be idle in their retirement. They want to be providing something back to humanity. And you take that into consideration, I know.
Exactly.
How do we find your ideal client?
So right now I'm sharing my message and doing that through the good people like you that are interested in hearing what people have to say and sharing it with a wide audience. I do a lot of speaking engagements for entrepreneurial groups to educate them about, specifically around taxes, around this concept of living rich beyond money, around tools and techniques to prepare for selling a company. And so by sharing my message, people often raise their hand and say, listen, I love what you're saying. Can you help me? And when they visit talktofreedom.com, they get a chance to fill out some forms and get on a call with my team.
Do you have any particular well-defined products and services that you would mention?
Yeah, so our core service is a consulting service whereby clients come to us to help them get all their ducks in a row, their investments, their insurance, their estate planning, their tax strategy, their exit plan. And what we do is work with them over the course of a few months, typically 3 to 5 months. And they work with our team of accountants, lawyers, and planners to help them get everything structured and organized so they have a clear sense of where are they now, where do they want to be, and how are they going to get there. And we charge a fixed fee, which right now is $15,000 to take them through that process.
Do you work with other people's financial planners or CPAs and accountants on the team, or do you insist they all go with you?
No, so we don't do any compliance work and we don't do any legal drafting. So we don't file tax returns. We don't draft legal documents. So we work with either our clients' existing CPAs or attorneys, or often what happens is as they get exposed to our ideas and the education that we provide them with, they often realize that the people that got them there aren't the people that are going to help them get where they want to go. And we'll introduce them to resources that we utilize most often for entrepreneurs that are all facing a similar set of challenges. But we're glad to work with anyone that they come in with.
I understand. So tell us about the competition. How do you crush that competition that's vying for the same investment dollar?
I think it's by finding the people that resonate with our message. So if someone is, very money hungry and very money focused and not as much focused on their relationship with their spouse or their children, or not that focused on their relationship with their team and their employees, and not that focused on their general overall sense of well-being and meaning and purpose, they're going to do much better going to a financial services firm where all the people are going to want to talk about is their money. In our business, we find a lot of entrepreneurs, especially, our industry is dominated by males. 8-figure net worth, entrepreneurs tend to be dominated by males. And if they're married, often their spouse is a stay-at-home spouse who doesn't have as much education or experience at managing money, and certainly not a business. But for us, the first conversation with every potential new client takes place with the couple to talk about what is the life you're working to build together. And that's a conversation that we find you can only have with both parties in a marriage if you are married. And in contrast, a lot of our competitors are really just focused on how much money do you have and where can I invest it for you?
Yeah, I like the holistic approach, and it's a family-centered approach. And you actually put that into your .com, family freedom.
Yeah.
Going into some specifics about online platforms, do you have any particular ones that you rely on in your company to help you grow?
So, we use Microsoft Office suites of products that we selected them over, let's say, Google. And obviously, email is a huge component of what we do just as a communication tool. I'd say from business development and, where we see the future, we do a lot of social media posting. I've been active on LinkedIn and Facebook for a number of years and have found that I originate new relationships from digital relationships, and people send me money without ever having met me because they have confidence that they can trust me from seeing how I live my life and how I do what I say I'm going to do. And so the social media aspect has been very valuable.
Yeah, that's pretty good when they'll send you money without asking to meet with you first. Somewhere in the great divide, they're not afraid to lose their money. So this must lead to some pretty good experiences. How do you create that 5-star client experience?
So we have a chief experience officer, our CXO, who was one of the first people that we brought into our firm when we created it 3 years ago. Because ultimately, again, going back to crushing the competition, so to speak, we're in a business where the relationship is incredibly personal and intimate. And many of the people that we speak with, no one else knows their financial situation as well as we do. And that's something that is talked about less often than many other things in people's lives. And so we want to make sure that our clients feel like they're heard, they're understood, they're well served, they're cared for. And we do that by hiring people that believe in the same philosophy that we've adopted about the importance of becoming rich beyond money, and also that believe entrepreneurs are heroes, because there are lots of people out there that vilify entrepreneurs, that vilify capitalism. And so the people that are on our team all want to celebrate our clients' victories, and celebrate their success.
I think that would be classified as a really good 5-star experience. You have a dedicated person for that one experience position. So it takes it to another level when you get people to refer and become brand ambassadors. How do you create those within your group?
So we now have a referral process built into our consulting journey. I mentioned that clients often spend 3 to 5 months with us, where they pay us a fixed fee, and we do a significant volume of work, which, had they been paying professional hourly rates for that work, they may pay, 2, 3, or even 4 times as much as we're charging them. And at the end of that process, we encapsulate all the value that we believe we've created, and we ask them to, give us their feedback and solicit their feedback on the process, on the value. And of course, at that time, we also ask if there's anyone in their social circle that they feel might benefit from the good work that we're doing.
And I guess from the standard startup time and cost, there's an escalation into more advanced strategies and
Correct.
participations.
Exactly. Yeah. So the relationship, we hope, will be a lifetime relationship with our clients. But most people that have had tremendous business success are hesitant to switch the person that's ultimately their key confidant when it comes to their finances. And so through this 3 to 5 month process, we give them the ability to have a long-term paid interview with us. They're giving us some money, but we're giving them value in exchange. And at the end of that process, either they'll have confidence that we're the team they want by their side for the rest of their journey, or not. And thankfully, we have a good hit rate for people deciding that they want us there for all the things that are going to come up in their life, be they business or financial or even personal or interrelationship oriented type questions and advice that they need.
That brings us to a great question for you. What are you grateful for today that is possible because what you did yesterday?
So I mentioned I have a leak. I sprung a leak in my home. And one of the things that evokes for me while we have the, mold remediation contractor here and the roofing contractor coming, is how grateful I am that whatever that's going to cost is not going to impact my 6-week summer vacation with my wife. And so I'm very grateful for the financial success that we've achieved, because it was something that was very important to me and something that I'm very proud that we've been able to accomplish. And I'm also incredibly grateful that I was born where I was born, and to the people that I was born to, because all of the experiences that I've had and all the benefits of growing up in our wonderful country that celebrates capitalism, celebrates freedom. I've traveled around the world. I've had experiences on 70 different countries. And, where we're born is ultimately a big predictor of the type of success that we'll be able to achieve in life. And so being born in the USA was one of the greatest things in my life.
Excellent. Well, you say a 6 weeks vacation. So how many of you listening in the audience can say that you could take a 6 weeks vacation? I would venture to say not too many have ever thought about doing it, much less done it. And maybe that's a goal that some of you should set, that as we go forward, we structure our lives so that at the time that it's possible, we can take that 6 weeks vacation and not be worried about the cost of the leaks in the basement. How would you start your day if you have an average day? You get up to go to work. What's your beginning like?
So usually I wake up before my wife without an alarm, and I tend to do some email checking in bed so I don't disturb her. And I put in my headset and look through my YouTube subscriptions to see what content was created overnight that is of interest to me. I clean out my inbox and address things that maybe I wasn't able to get to the day prior. And then I like to take my son to school and drop him off, even though he doesn't often like to talk in the car early in the morning. I decided just being by his side is of importance to me. And after I drop him off, I either meet a friend to go for a walk or I exercise on my own independently, and often try and have a phone call with someone that either would like my advice and counsel and isn't paying me money. And so I give them the availability to talk with me while I'm taking a walk around the neighborhood, or an opportunity to catch up with an old friend.
Well, I like that. Being next to your son, just being there, it'll be something he remembers that you took him to school every day and didn't have that bus between you and him, that you were with him. So that'll mean a lot, I know. Let's talk about overcoming challenges and what do you do to overcome a challenge?
So my wife's my best confidant and advisor. We've been together since we're teenagers. We're married now 23 years, together for 28. So anytime I have something I'm struggling with, she's always the first person that I'll go to. And she knows my strengths and weaknesses better than anyone. And she also has a very complementary skill set. So, I take her advice and counsel first. And then in addition, I'm part of EO, the Entrepreneurs Organization, which is a great member-led volunteer organization of 18,000 members around the world. Part of my participation there is in a forum of 7 other founder entrepreneurs that I meet with once a month, and I share the top 5% and the bottom 5% of what's going on in my life. And so sharing with them and getting their experience where maybe they've gone through a similar challenge has helped shape my own response.
So if you look back at your life at the time when you were, say, 20 years old, what would your recommendation be to yourself as to what you would recommend based on your life experience since then?
So I hesitate to change anything because I'm so grateful for where I am today. But if I were to go back and change a particular inflection point, it would be exiting my father's business. I helped him scale that company from 12 employees to 70 before he sold it to a top 20 accounting firm. And I went off and started a family office for affluent divorced women, which I ended up selling a handful of years later. I think if I were to go back in time, there was an inflection point in that business where I was considering acquiring a company and leaving my dad's practice sooner. And the comforts and familiarity and joy that I found working with my dad kind of led me to stay where I was. And I believe had I taken that leap of faith sooner to leave that comforts of a family company and start my own thing, I may have been able to achieve greater success. But again, I don't know that I'd want to change a thing because I like where I am.
Yeah, you certainly have arrived at a good place, and you never know if you take a different path whether you do end up. And I'm the same way. A lot of challenges along the way, but I love where I am. And what if I hadn't done exactly what I did? Sometimes you just never know where it's going to end up. Who's your living mentor, and what's the impact they have?
I have a few. I'll speak about my philanthropic mentor, a man named Cliff Viner. Cliff and his wife Ida send over 100 kids to college every year. And we got paired together in a philanthropic mentoring program. And he's been a great source of inspiration for me around what are the things that I may be able to contribute to the world as a result of the financial success that we're having and the impact that we can make on others. So he's been a shining example of that, and someone who I look up to and someone who motivates me to be a better person.
So that would lead me to the question about impact. What's your why?
So I'm still searching for the answer to that question, because I know that I love working with entrepreneurs, and I don't do it for free because I don't think they'd value it enough. And so my wife and I are trying to figure out, how do we utilize the resources that we may have that we're not going to use in our own lifetime to benefit others. And we've have three causes that our family foundation supports: uh, food security, education, and Jewish causes. And so those are really the areas of impact that we want to make. But over time, and as we mature, and maybe life changes a little for us as our kids get older and we see how they launch into their own independent lives, we'll be able to change our focus and make that impact something that's clearer to our family, where we're clear on how we're actually making a dent in those three areas.
So being remembered is really important for a lot of cultures. And I know that legacy and things like that matter. So what is it that you and your family want to be remembered for?
I'd like to be remembered as someone that was intentional and whose intentionality helped others live more intentional lives, and that the virtuous cycle of contributing to others in that way has led them to contribute to others in that way. And that as a society, potentially, we're able to overcome some of our natural tendencies towards, accumulation or opulence, or natural behaviors that lead to the destruction of family, or not finding deep meaning and purpose in the life that we can live. And so really, for me, it's knowing that the people that I surround myself with, the people that I counsel, that their life was better because I was in it.
I think a lot of people could use that model to have a mentor to follow. And I know that that's part of the strength of your organization, is to set up a family legacy model that others can follow. So kudos to you for doing that, Noah. And let us know now, how can we support you and promote what you're doing? Do you have any links or contacts?
I've got a bunch. For anyone that's interested in the work that we do, that would like to learn about how it might apply to their individual situation, if you go to talktofreedom.com, freedom being part of Freedom Family Office, talktofreedom.com, you could fill out a short intake form and schedule a call with our team. If you're someone that's interested in just staying connected and hearing more from me, a great place to follow me is on LinkedIn. I would say that's the most active platform for me, and I share all the content that we're creating there. And then we've got a variety of downloads that people could access. If they want to become rich beyond money, they could go to richbeyondmoney.com and learn more about our philosophy. If they're interested in investing in real estate, they could learn how we generate infinite returns and own over 6,000 apartment units around the US by going to talkaboutre.com. Or if maybe you're just looking to pay less in taxes as an entrepreneur, you could visit freedomtaxstrategy.com and print out a list of 23 often overlooked tax strategies that you could review with your accountant.
Well, there we have a list of options, connecting points, each with a little different focus. So I know that your time with us on this podcast has been meaningful, valuable, insightful. I particularly enjoy the topic because, this is something that we live with every day, is what do we do at the end of our life to be a mentor to those, to be a legacy creator. And a lot of people in this audience particularly want answers in those areas as they figure out their next steps. And so I appreciate your input. And Noah, what would you say about your experience here as a guest on our show today?
Well, I appreciate that you have great questions, insightful questions. And by sharing those answers, it's always a way for me to clarify in a succinct way how I feel and how I approach my business and the world. And so thank you for allowing me an opportunity to share that with your audience. I thought the guest experience was nice and easy. You communicated effectively and promptly over email and with links, and of course here today. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Noah. I appreciate that. And it's always a good service to do what you do to bring out something that's more than just dealing with the numbers. And a lot of people think of a CPA as just the numbers guy. And I think you bring that holistic approach to life, and you share your life experiences about what works and what doesn't work. And that is a value. And so kudos to you for being a great mentor. And I look forward to giving you the final say on the Influencers podcast.
Well, thank you again for having me. For those of you that are interested, I do have something you may want to look at on LinkedIn, which are 26 actions for abundance. And these are 26 motivating factors for me, behaviors that I've undertaken to help me become rich beyond money. And so if you're not quite at a level where you might be appropriate to work with a company like mine, but you aspire to become in that 0.5%, visit LinkedIn, follow me there, and download my 26 actions for abundance, or you could download it from my website at freedomfamilyoffice.com.
All right, there you have it. We have the financial advisor to the 0.5%, Noah Rosenfarb, CPA, down in Florida by way of New Jersey. So thank you, Noah, for being here. And to the Influencers podcast audience, this has been a particularly useful and interesting session we've had today. So I hope you'll go back and pause the webinar at the appropriate places to copy down all those URLs and links to get to Noah so that you can utilize his services as you become part of the 0.5%. So it's Dr. Bill Williams signing off on the Influencers podcast live from Atlanta, Georgia. Have a good week, and we'll see you on the next show of the Influencers podcast.